Welcome to Nexus Edge, the show that'll help you get an edge on your competition. I'm, of course, your esteemed host, Turd Herder, and this is Week 2 recap for Season 7. And I'm back, you're back, we're all back, so let's get right into it. Let's get into some Nexus Edge, guys. Of course, I'm joined by my usual cadre of folks. Starting at the top, we have Mr. Ziltoid. Hey. Also sitting right next to him, Mr. Whoa, no.
Did you forget my name, Turd? It was only a week you were gone.
Okay, I was trying to figure out if you were this way or that way. So, all right, boys, what's going on? What did I miss? Anything good?
Got a lot of casts done.
Very nice.
Been grinding away, trying to get my thing set up for Nexperts. Probably gonna try to get an episode recorded this next week. So
Ooh,
we'll
spicy.
see how that goes. And then just generally doing streaming as well. Got my affiliate. Got my 5, 6, 7, 8 subs out of 15. So hopefully I can get some more.
So spicy. Well, what about you?
I sat at my computer and cried waiting for you to come back.
Oh.
It's been a pretty slow week for me, honestly, as far as like things going on. I got that WoW Classic hype kind of building.
Next month, right?
Next month, end of August.
Alrighty. Well, that's good. So also today we've been joined by our special guest, Mr. Ghostdunk.
Hello. How you guys doing? I'm excited to be here.
There you go. It's only the second best crossover in history. The first being when Woe was over on Nexus Now. Now we have Ghostdunk over here. It's just, we're having a good time.
That was a fun time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself for those that may not be familiar with you?
Hi, guys. I'm Ghostdunk. I've been hanging out with NGS for a million seasons now, and I do casting. I will occasionally be on the Thursday Night Showdown. For NGS. I've cast Heroes Lounge. I've cast Heroes Hype. I did a bunch of math and put it on Reddit once. And
we liked that.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. And I also play on a team called Once Bitten, Thrice Pie, which is, I guess, quote the caster team. So, yeah. I've been playing COTS since the Kerosene patch, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Very nice. Good to hear. What is your role on Thrice Bitten? Wait.
So
yeah,
close.
Sure.
Yes. Pie.
It's like that. It's like that famous song.
Yeah.
Right. I play offlane, so I've been doing offlane for a while now. I started that on. What was it? Better Than Yesterday was the first team that I started doing that on. So it's still a few people around from that era, but that's where I'm at right now.
Oh yeah, and I definitely always like listening to your offlane insights on Nexus Now. I started picking it up this last season, so always appreciate your insights on what heroes are doing well for you and stuff. So
yeah, me and Jackster go at it.
No.
I was on the fence. If you listen to the latest one, he hates Imperius right now, but I'm starting to come around to it. I think Imperius is great.
Oh yeah. So what is your favorite hero to play, offlane or otherwise? Could be whatever.
My favorite hero is Brightwing,
Nice.
but I think my favorite hero to play is probably Murky.
Oh yeah,
because half of your job playing Murky is to annoy the enemy team, and
which is always fun. Yeah,
exactly. So I like to count the number of ultimates used on me when I play Murky. If I get like 1 or 2, I'm definitely succeeding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The melee assassin Murky, everyone. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Good job, Blizzard. All right, guys, let's move on. But before we do so, let us shout out to our Patreon. If you are not a Patreon supporter, why not? First. Second of all, you should. It's a great thing. I actually, while I was absent, I received some of my swag. I got that. I got a little mouse pad here.
Ooh.
Look at that bad boy. Oh, Ghost looks like he's going for some of his swag. Oh,
yeah,
he's
I got that. I got that. This is all from BlizzCon. I got my bag still. I got my Weenus.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I got to do it in front of the mic.
Yeah.
I got my Nexus card to show NGS, I guess.
Yeah, the postcard.
Very
for this
official.
For this one. Yeah. Got it. And I got my player card. It's all nice and shiny. Yeah, yeah. So that's good. Got some pins. Anyways, what we're getting at is if you give to the Patreon or subscribe or become a patron, you get some cool swag at the end of the season. I just got mine. Real happy with it. I needed a new mouse pad, and now I don't. So perfect. And where can they go to find that? You can go to patreon.com/heroes Nexus Gaming Series. And that'll take you right to the website, and you can go ahead and fill in all your information, figure it out. And, Wono, what's good about Canada and the Patreon?
I have heard rumors that we are getting shipping to Canada for our Patreon rewards. I think I'll have to check with Mongoose. I think it's still something that they're working on, but I know it is coming. It is soon TM, so very soon I will be able to enjoy my very own Canadian Patreon rewards.
There you go. The best kind of Patreon awards. I don't get Canadian Patreon awards. It's great. So anyways, guys, that's Patreon. Please consider contributing to NGS. Helps keeps the light on. So all right, now let's get into it, guys. This is the return of the power rankings. Gotta say it with power rankings. So this is, of course, our personal power rankings for NGS Season 7. They're not standings, so there's some things that we've considered maybe, different things going on here. So without further ado, Ziltoid, start us off. What's going on with Heroic? What does the power rankings look like over there?
They've kind of moved around quite a bit. Top of the standings, I still have missed most of my skill shots. They haven't dropped a set yet, so they're still sitting pretty high up there. Slub Gaming did move up one slot as they did finally get to play a match. And it was against Dread Pirates, who are kind of at the bottom of the power rankings. But they looked really powerful in that matchup. So I do think there are teams in this division that have what it takes to beat them for sure. But they're still going to probably sitting near the top. Keanu Reeves is still up there at the number 3 spot. BBW is probably the most notable one who's moved up in the rankings from 4 whole slots from number 9 to number 5 as they picked up some good wins over the past week or so. Yex S tier still continues to have buys, mostly due to dropouts. So we really haven't quite seen what that team is capable of yet. But I given just some of the other teams dropping down and things like that, they're going to move up slightly. Nobo Esprouts dropped a couple. Archon actually got a victory over Amazing, which I wasn't expecting. Especially not after their week 1 performance. But they got the 2-1, so they're going to go up above. Amazing is at 9. Probe 1 has had a rough couple of matches recently, and so they've dropped down to number 10. And Dread Pirates is still sitting at the 11th spot currently.
Very nice. Any other comments about Heroic?
Schedule more matches. I need more matches.
I think that's the big one.
I feel like we went through this last season too.
Really would like to see, we have 2 teams that have dropped out, which is unfortunate. But given the fact that Heroic Division was more fleshed out, it should. I'm hoping that this is the last one. The rest of the teams don't look like they're going to be leaving anytime soon. So I think we've stabilized to some degree. So if we can just get more matches and booked early enough that we can get good casts for it, we really want to see Heroic Division this season. So please, please get it done.
Well, no, Ghost, what do you guys have to say about this? You agree, disagree? Well, why don't you start it out?
Yeah, so My thoughts are pretty in line with Ziltoid's. Obviously, Heroic, we're kind of waiting for more games to be scheduled and more games to be played. There's been 2 dropouts, a couple forfeits, so there's not a lot of actual action being had yet. So it's kind of like the powder keg division where you're just kind of waiting for the build up and everything to go off. So I think as it stands with what we've seen, this is a pretty solid, pretty accurate ranking.
Yeah, I'm just I'm sad that my boy Savo had to drop out. So it's though dropouts notwithstanding, I think it's going to be a real interesting division. Seeing that Celeb Gaming, I talked about this on the podcast too. Seeing them drop a couple maps there is very surprising. They're probably the strongest force in NA right now.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be a very interesting division. I think everything looks about right to me. I'm excited about most skill shots. I know Carbon too a little bit, so it's cool to see him.
That name sounds really familiar. Like I know too, but I
used to be
Carbon at bronze.
In Heroes Lounge. It was Stormleague Crusaders.
Oh, that is probably where I know him. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, I don't have any comments. My only comment was NGS actually allowed BBW as a team. I guess. I don't know. So yeah, that name
stands for Path and Body Works.
oh right. Wasn't there? There's a Division D team, Bloodbath
and Beyond.
Bloodbath and Beyond. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well then, if there are no further comments, let us move on to Division A. Ziltoid, I understand you set up these power rankings. Do you want to go through them real quick, or?
I mean, we can have Ghost go over it.
It is his division after all.
All right, yeah.
After you, I guess.
Yeah. I'm gonna
comment on his comments.
Yeah, I'll read this down. I agree with most of this. I think number one, we're at Gilly Shark at the very top. They're a pretty powerful team. They know what they're doing. They got a lot of aces up their sleeve with Stark on the team, and they're really pulling it together. So I think they deserve this number one. Rewind at number 2. I like it at number 2. This is Ryokai's team. So knowing him and his skills as a coach, I think this team could get better as the season goes, more rapidly than some of the other teams. Sky 5 is at number 3. They're also a really good team. They had a good win against who was it? Wipe them again. Yeah, they beat Wipe again, and they're definitely some of the top teams. I think the next at 4 is Team Happy Cloud, and I think this is the only one I really disagree with. There's just not enough data, I think, to put Team Happy Cloud this high. I'd move them down. I'd move them down by like Lion Speed, who hasn't really played any games. One of which is our fault, and I'd like to apologize for that.
Yeah, Sky 5 also took a victory on Fearless Cruise, which I had ranked a little higher earlier, but they've been having a bit of a rough go.
Yeah, it's. I think that team definitely needs to figure out what they are about. I think they've got some really talented people on their team, and if they're losing games, it's probably because of they're a newer team.
Here's one important question: are their mounts Happy Clouds?
I hope so.
I hope so. Sorry, that was not an important question.
That's
Continue.
just. I mean, it is important, and then if I were casting them, I would absolutely complain. I would probably say these are banned mounts.
Remake
all mounts
lobby.
are banned except
remake, absolutely. Number 5.
Sorry for throwing you off there.
Hey, no. I'm a professional. Everything is smooth and seamless. Number 5, Team Training Wheels. These are teams that are kind of like in the middle that have been like 1-1 or just haven't played games. Team number 6 is Wipe Them Again. Number 7, Lion Speed. Number 8, Wholesome Halfwits. Wholesome Halfwits, I think, were marked down at the very bottom, which I probably would have agreed with at the beginning of the season, but they've taken some wins. So, yeah, I think they deserve to be up in this middle area here. Number 9, Regen Ghost. And number 10, Into Deep. See, where did Regen Ghost? What was their last game that they played? Oh, they did beat. Was it Into Deep? Yeah, they did beat Into Deep. So once again, Regen Ghost still not really enough data for that. Number 11
dominated by Wholesome Halfwits though, so I'm guessing that's what's bumping them up.
They did get 2-0'd by Wholesome Halfwits, so I think that's the.
I missed that.
That's why they dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and TTW went up because they 2-0'd Into Deep.
Oh yeah.
And they went 1-2 with Rewind, which I consider one of the strongest teams in the division.
Yeah,
playing Probius, no less.
Yeah, and I think I would actually have put Team Training Wheels above Team Happy Cloud.
You're probably correct.
But yeah, Into Deep suffered some losses. Then you've got number 11, Once Bitten, Thrice Pie, which should probably be number 1.
Yeah, sorry, I typoed that. Gilly Shark should be in your spot.
You just put an extra 1 on here. I see what's happened.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, we dropped a game to Gilly Shark and props to them, but I think it was a 2-0, which to be fair, I'm gonna do the weasel thing and say it was a close 2-0.
Of course.
But it was a really close game match, and just can't wait to show what we're up to and jump up these rankings. Number 12, you got Few Loose Screws, and then number 13, Regen Retro, who have suffered a domination against Rewind in this last round, as well as a domination against Team Happy Cloud.
That'll put you at the bottom. All right. Well, what do you think? Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I agree pretty much. Same with Ghostdunk. I think Happy Cloud, we just don't really have enough to go off of to have them quite as high as they are, and I would probably bump Team Training Wheels up a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're only 2 weeks into the season, so there's still a lot of games to be played, and if we're basing this mostly off of just 1, 2, maybe 3 matches at most for the flex teams, that's not a whole lot of data to go off of, so definitely expect to see some shuffling. Really surprised by the Wholesome Halfwits 2-0 over Regen. So interested to see if they continue to make waves. Those are our former B friends, so always like to see them doing well.
Of course. And Ziltoid, obviously these were you and Ghost collaborated, so I don't assume that you disagree, but do you have any other comments on Division A power rankings here?
I mean, it's not like I just blindly went in and looked at standings or anything. Like, I've been actively watching most of the games, so some of my assumptions aren't necessarily based off of the scores, but a lot of what I actually saw in the matches in the matchup. So just keep that in mind. That could be more or less some of the reasons why some of them are placed in certain areas.
Sounds good to me. If we are ready to go, let's move on to Division B East. Wono, break it down.
So B East still actually has a lot of their week 2 matches to play, so there wasn't a ton of shuffling, and some of the shuffling in this division was mostly just kind of everybody bumping up or bumping down due to some results. Big one to touch on is the swapping of Beast Coast and Reborn Knights Black, with Beast Coast taking the number 1 spot in the power rankings here. So that was a 2-1 victory. They played each other this week for Beast Coast. It was a close game, but I do think Beast Coast looked stronger throughout all 3 games. Reborn Knights Black managed to edge out the win, but I still think for the most of that game, until they kind of had a little bit of a boss throw, Beast Coast looked better. Almost Legends Gold maintains, they just hold steady at 3rd. They haven't played. Minion Miners gets a bump up a couple spots.
Almost Legends played.
Almost Legends Gold?
Yeah. They played Trump.
That was included in the first week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is...
Okay.
Yeah, only Almost Legends Ruby had a game reported, but that's it for this week so far.
Yes.
Yup.
So...
Continue.
Continuing on.
Pardon the interruption. Sorry, that's a different talk show.
Ooh, flustered. No, I'm good. Buff Chen holds steady. Still waiting on them to play their match. Regen Phoenix takes a bit of a hit, dropping down 2 spots. Trump moves up 1. Murky Hit Squad moves down 1. Winston Churchill Manatees was another big mover this week. I had them right down near the bottom at 12. They bumped up 3 spots to 9 after winning over Almost Legends Ruby.
That's your boy Jackster's team, right?
That is Jackster's team.
There you go.
So Almost Legends Ruby sliding down 2 spots to 10th. And then the bottom standings kind of just Jailbait shuffled down 1, Rush B shuffled down 1, and Dive Hard is unfortunately holding steady at the bottom. So a little bit of movement, swapping at the top half, a little bit of shuffling around the middle section, but not a whole lot of change overall compared to the first week power standings.
Very good. Boys, any other comment? Ghost, what do you got to say?
A lot of good games coming up in week 2 with games that still have yet to be played. Most of them seem to be cast. The only one that isn't cast is Legends Gold versus Buff Chen. But make sure to check those games out coming up this week.
Sounds good. Ziltoid, you watch a couple of these. What do you think?
I mean, I definitely agree with Beast Coast versus Reborn Knights Black. Up to this point, I casted this game. The Reborn Knights Black was kind of the boogeyman of the division. And it looked like for most of what they've run up to, they weren't going to be dropping any games anytime soon. Beast Coast was really going to be the first big test for them, and they did stumble. So I'm interested to see more from Beast Coast. I am curious to see what their matchups like with some of the other teams in the division are going to be like, because I think part of the problem that Reborn Knights Black had was I think we're understating a little bit the effect that the patch had on certain teams drafting and hero priorities and things like that. And I think that as time goes on, obviously people will figure kind of out where, because every patch like this always changes the meta to some degree.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens with certain teams. And I think in this matchup specifically, Beast Coast had their finger on the pulse of kind of what the changes brought about, and they really played to those strengths. The major thing was the Zool pick.
Something unorthodox.
In both game 1 and 3 that Beast Coast won was just something that Reborn Knights Black
couldn't deal with.
Know what to do with.
Yeah.
Well, and here's a question I have, and anyone can answer to the extent you guys know. Beast Coast there's some returning players, but they're a new team. To what extent, if any, did that have?
They are a returning team, so they took season 6 off.
Oh, okay.
So,
but the point still
I don't know
stands.
if they're
The scouting report is going to be a little bit different.
It's a little trickier, definitely, with a team that wasn't around for last season.
There we go. All right, moving right along. Division West. There's some changes that happened here, so please explain them.
Everything changed.
Whereas B East was relatively stable, B West, because I based it mostly off of week 1 results and just kind of where teams finish if they were in B last season, things got a little crazy this week in B West. So starting off, number 1, Uncomfortably Numb with a +7. So they moved up 7 spots to take the top seed, knocking out Arrogant Nephilim, who they actually played this week, and
So
had a pretty...
They flip-flopped.
They flip-flopped, yeah. Well, Arrogant Nephilim, you'll find out, dropped 7 spots to number 8 because it was a very convincing game for whoever watched. Arrogant Nephilim did not look on their game. I know I was in chat watching, and a couple of their players were saying, oh, we had subs and this and that, but Uncomfortably Numb looked really strong, and they were a returning team I didn't know too much about, and I look forward to seeing them prove themselves further on in the season, because so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. Logical Decision bumps up 1 spot, even though we haven't played, just kind of holding steady in the top 3. Probably would have kept us at 3rd, but 3rd spot is actually going to Unemployed Gaming, so Rexpa and Co. moving up 6 spots, knocking off Soak Every Lane this week in a really solid set. That one was a 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. Really back and forth, close matches, both teams looking pretty good. So Unemployed Gaming kind of, after their first week loss to Logical Decision, turning it around. I know they've picked up at least 1 new player, putting in a lot of practice. Soak Every Lane coming in at 4th. Despite their loss to Unemployed Gaming, they still had some wins earlier in the week. So they're definitely looking... they knocked off another high-seeded team, Almost Legends Amethyst, now known as Deviled Kegs, who I had at the number 2 spot. So that's kind of responsible for their jump in the standings. After that, we have a little bit of Regen Blue and Reborn Knights Red. They both dropped a spot, but that wasn't due to them. It was more just due to other teams moving up and taking spots from them. Running with Turtles moving up a little bit in the standings after they knocked off Roll 1 Esports, so coming back after their week 1 loss. And then we get into the big losers, Arrogant Nephilim, Deviled Kegs, Roll 1 Esports, all dropping 7, 7, and 4 spots respectively, as we kind of just went over. Tough weeks for them. Doesn't mean they can't bounce back and move further up in the standings, but it's definitely tough when you're a number 1 or number 2 seed team and losing to a team near the bottom of the rankings. And then to finish out the division, we have Who Knows Gaming flip-flopping with Spooky Ghosts. So they played each other this week, and Who Knows Gaming took the 2-0, resulting in them swapping spots. So it wasn't enough for them to really move up higher because they're still untested against the other teams, the more well-recognized teams in the division. So we'll see where Who Knows Gaming ends up.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I want to jump in here because I did cast Silk Every Lane. It was not Unemployed Gaming. They were facing against Uncomfortably Numb.
Sorry, yes.
In the thing, yeah, there was a very close 2-1 match. These teams are incredibly well matched. It was a very close game. It went down to the wire. Game number 1 lasted 26 minutes.
Wow.
Long Towers of Doom game.
Yeah, big long Towers of Doom game. Came down to a boss fight. Not the boss necessarily, but like it was a fight around the boss towards the end. Uncomfortably Numb though looks really strong. They look like they really know what they want to do in terms of playing their draft and playing the map. So I agree with those 2 positions at least. It was a really good match. You should check it out.
Might as well. Ziltoid, what do you think?
I generally agree with everything here. I don't even know if there's anything I necessarily disagree with. Because like I said, there's a few teams and matches that still kind of need to be sorted out. Mm-hmm. Arrogant Nephilim was a bit of a force to be reckoned with last season. This season, it's going to be hard to say. I think Uncomfortably Numb, I was expecting to be good. They are a returning team, so it's always kind of a bit of a question mark on whether they're going to come online right away. And I think even week 1, where they went 2-1 with Roll 1 Esports, they did clutch out the victory, was kind of a telltale sign of that, where they were still struggling to come back in. Luckily, they were playing another team that was also returning after a season off, so it kind of gave them a little bit of startup. Soak Every Lane has, in the preseason show, was kind of my choice for the number 1 seed. So the fact that Uncomfortably Numb was able to manage to take the victory says a lot about both those teams, especially because I did watch the games and like Ghost said, they were incredibly tight. Unemployed Gaming getting a victory over Devil Kegs was...
No, they beat Nephilim.
Nephilim, sorry. Unemployed Gaming's victory over Nephilim is a good statement, as I think that they came out, they're a new team. They got 2-0'd by an experienced team. We won't talk about who that was. And then they came back in the next week and they really put on a show. They drafted well, they played well, and they just kind of spanked Arrogant Nephilim. And I think that does justify a pretty good jump in the rankings for them. Whether it deserves a number 3 spot, I'm still on the fence on. But we'll just have to see how well their matchups continue throughout the season.
Sounds good to me, boys. All right, moving right along into Division C East. All right, so not a whole lot's changed at the top. We have Winky Face. They've just been on a tear. They've won all their matches so far, and on average, they've been ahead on levels, not tied, but ahead on levels for a little over half of the game. So 53.5% of the game, they've actually been ahead on levels, which is pretty good and probably explains why they've won all of their matches. I guess the Coastal average is for less than a third of the game to actually be leading. So it's 20% more on average that they're actually leading the game. So definitely deserve the top seed here. Calculated Throw also continuing to do well from their first week. They had 17.2 takedowns per game, while the rest of us in Division C have had about 9.8. So just a lot more killing and murder coming out of Calculated Throw. Maybe that's who they played. I don't know, but that's the stats for you. Stats are stats. So moving the first team to kind of move, Boogan Squad I put up above Duritan's Couch. Boogan Squad I think has been, they're a Division D team and they're winning. They're doing very well. They beat Nexus Cats. They had a couple other wins. And Duritan's Couch actually got beat by Calculated Throw in a domination. So Boogan Squad moving up, definitely deserving that. But then, Duritan's Couch moving down more or less because of the domination there. I think, so all the C East teams have been pretty consistent with soaking their lanes. But Lu Bu has been exceptionally good. So I put them right here at 7. I probably could have moved them up above Wood League, but they're about the same. But they've been 11,000 XP per game soaked. So it's about 20% more than the second best, which is Die for Vision at 9,000. So 2,000 more XP per game soaked, which is just insane. I don't know if that's a solo laner that's doing it or what, but that's pretty good. The other two things here. So I moved the Nexus Cats all the way to the bottom. So here on Nexus Edge, we've been accused of having bias, but no. Nexus Cats are at the bottom, guys. We have 1 map win. We have 6 map losses. I think we're pretty well deserving of the bottom spot there. We have played Duritan's Couch, which was a top team, Die for Vision, which is a top team, but we also played who was the other one? Oh, Boogan Squad. So those are all top teams. So I guess in our is that, but definitely the standings are what they are. So we're gonna put them at the bottom. Regen Anomaly also goes down 2. They lost 2 matches. They have 1 match win, 4 losses. So very similar situation. And everyone else is just going to move up from there. So that's why you see Save the Murloc, Do It Right, and Ban Show all moving up because the other 2 are dropping down. So yeah, that's what I got for C East. What do you guys think? Did I get it right?
Honestly, that division looks pretty stable. Like, there's a bit towards the bottom where some teams you had a little higher or lower kind of shuffled, but
yeah,
the top and the mid really stayed pretty solid to what you predicted from the first week.
Right.
I think I would agree mostly with it. Winky Face, Calculate Throw, Die for Vision, Boogan Squad, all very strong teams.
Yeah.
Duritan's Couch, I'm love you, Wedge. I'm still a little skeptical on where they're gonna fall in the standings. So they were a team coming down from B, but they're still not outclassed, but definitely having some tough games against the teams in C East here.
Right.
Lubu as well, another team fallen from B to C, so expect them. I think they can move up a little bit, but we'll see.
There's definitely argument to be made to see Duritan's Couch go down. I mean, they got dominated by Kel. That is
and they are, exactly. They're a top team. They're a good team in C East, but
right,
it'll be interesting.
So but that I didn't. Shout out to Wedge for being guest last week. Maybe he got a little bit of a bumper on his bowling alley. So, he's staying up a little bit more than he should. Who knows? But we'll see. I definitely, season's early, so we can see what happens. So, Ghost, any thoughts here?
I'm not very familiar with C East. A lot of the C division teams I'm not familiar with, other than the fact that I just recognize all these people. I'm very glad to see Winky Face up at the top. I know they've had a tough time in previous seasons, so they look. I looked at the roster; they look pretty strong.
Oh yeah, I mean they got the Michael Ian ad. They had one other ad from a Division A team last season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zhao, is it?
Yeah.
So definitely, I think they're right where we expected them to be. Basically murdering everyone else. So
yeah, and I know those 2 guys too. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, like a lot of returning teams are really glad to see it. Everyone seems to be kind of it's nice to see that when divisions are mostly proper, like when people are having good matches and people are real close. Durkhan's Couch, Lubu. I think Save the Murloc is back. Do It Right is back. It's nice to see everybody duking it out on even ground. Yeah.
The only new team I think is Regen Anomaly. And they have returning players.
I was gonna say they're not even. I mean, they're a brand new team, but they're a team full of returning players. So.
Oh yeah. But that's as close as you get for a brand new team in this division. So it's very interesting. So, Ziltoid, anything before I wrap up and move on to Division C West?
Sure. I mean, I've casted a lot of C,
Yeah.
C East, and in particular. And what I've really been liking about this season, but particularly this division, is they're almost 50% week to week on 2-1s, and even the 2-0 dominations. Not a lot of them are blowouts. So,
Right.
you can definitely tell there's quite a bit of competition here. It's not any teams necessarily that I think are complete blowout victories. Now, Winky Face definitely looked really strong versus Do It Right, which I live casted. And Do It Right, I think, is a middle of the pack team. I think power rankings wise, I might have moved Lubu up a little bit. Just based off their play, they looked really good, but I think they're fine where they are for the moment. Wood League had a pretty tight matchup with Ban Cho. I think Ban Cho is a little bit underestimated in this division. I think that they actually, if they kind of get certain things going their way, might actually be a playoff contender. Not a high playoff contender, but they could squeak into the 7th or 8th spot. Save the Murloc had a pretty good matchup with Bugin Squad. So don't count them out either. I think the number 8 spot is deserved, and they did definitely move up in the standings pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd probably swap Regen Anomaly with Bancho, the 10 and 11 spot. Just generally speaking, Regen Anomaly did get 2-0'd by Lubu, and it was pretty convincing. Whereas Bancho put really made Wood League work for that victory. It was a close matchup. That big of a disparity between those two teams seems a little odd. Just based off of what I saw, what I observed.
Yeah, right.
Calculated Throw, I think, is the contender this season. Like Winky Face, Calculated Throw are definitely my top 2 for the division.
Okay.
I would be surprised to see either one of those really move out of those 1-2 spots.
Or just shuffle around.
Yeah, the big matchup, whenever it happens, is going to be between those two teams. So,
Right.
If that's not like a Thursday night showdown, I don't know what is, because those two teams going at each other would be actually really good. Because Calculated Throw has just been looked solid all season, and Winky Face has as well. So it's really kind of hard to see who's going to come in on top there. But I was impressed with Wood League. I think that those guys really understand maps, rotations, all that kind of stuff like that. And I expect them to move up. In fact, I think they could even take the number 3 or 4 spot from Die for Vision or Bugin Squad.
Very nice. Alrighty, moving on to C West. Starting at the top, Tickle Me Tassadar maintains their number 1 spot. I think that's pretty expected. They're just killing it. They have average of 16.8 takedowns per game. Division C West as a whole has about 10 per game. So almost 7 kills more per game than any other team in the division. They're also now the only team in all of Division C to have not lost a single keep in any of their matches.
That's a crazy stat.
Wow.
Yeah. So very well deservedly at the number 1 spot here in Division C West. Yeah, our editor just says WTF. Yeah, there we go. So Pigeons. So I'll start. I wanted to start at the bottom here. Pigeon Stitches. I put them at the bottom. They've basically gone 0-6. So that moving down is pretty self-explanatory. Rainbow Strike Go, I also moved down. They had a couple of rough matches. They got dominated by Tickle Me Tassadar. So we got to throw them on down. It happens. 10 armor, just by virtue of that, moves up. They haven't played their week 2 match just yet as of filming. Or they had a bye. Oh, yeah, here we go. They had a bye this week, but they did have a tough domination to Can't Counterpick Stupid. So they played a top team. They got dominated. Are we going to see them move up, move down? I don't know, but I think at the 10 spot, they're probably perfect. So at least right now. So the other big changes, now I'll go back to the top. Why I did it in this order, I'm not sure. But Paraloot and Can't Counterpick Stupid, I both moved up. And I think they could probably be interchangeable. I think it could be a 2-3. Either of those teams could probably be second place. Can't Counterpick Stupid has dominated 10 armor, like I just said. And then they did 2-1 both Rainbow Strike Go and Annie Oak League. So that's the only reason why I keep them below Paraloot. So there's that. They also they lead the race to level 10, improving their time by 3 seconds to 6 minutes and 3 seconds, while the rest of the division has somehow slowed down. The average time to level 10 has fallen to 6 minutes and 53 seconds. So everyone else has slowed down, but for some reason, Can't Counterpick Stupid has improved their timing to get to level 10. So another thing to consider, Division C West. Now these next 4, and now I remember why I did the last ones first. Then these were real tough for me to place. I think any of these teams, Lurk Patrol, Almost Legends, Annie Oak League, Plug Walk, Piecemeal, I think any of them could be in any of those slots. Lurk Patrol dropped down. They lost to Paraloot, even though they had a domination, but it was over the currently ranked 11 team Pigeon Stitches. So they got a domination. That's why they're kind of higher in the standings, but they lost to Paraloot, which is, a top team. So I had to put them down. Annie Oak League. So this is where it gets weird. Annie Oak League beat Almost Legends Obsidian, but they lost to Piecemeal. But Plug Walk beat Piecemeal. So it's all like kind of I wasn't quite sure where to put them. That's why it's early enough in the season where I made my statement. This is what my statement is, prove me wrong, any of these teams. So there we have it. Division C West. So what do you boys think? Nothing? Great. Maybe I did get it right. Yeah.
Ask someone specifically.
Yeah, all right, Ziltoid, why don't you start since you were talking?
Again, C West is something I've been watching pretty closely. Just, I don't know, their matches seem to match up a lot of the time with what I tend to cast. So I've definitely been able to see some of these games up close and personal. A lot of the other ones I've tried to catch up just based off of certain people in the division that I like to keep track of. And I think generally speaking, you've got it pretty much flat out. CCS, could potentially be number 2 slot, but they haven't really been able to clutch out the dominations. And I think that just has something to do with the bit of their drafting tends to put them in situations where they make games harder for them to win, even if they are what I would consider stronger teams. Even though I consider them a stronger team in the matchup, not that correct?
Yeah.
They, because of some of the things that they do drafting wise, makes their games harder to play. And I think that that's more the reason why they've been doing a lot of 2-1s instead of 2-0s.
Right.
And I think they need to clean that up when they start going up against some of the stronger teams in the division, like Paraloot, like Lurk Patrol, like Tickle Me Tassadar. As CCS so far hasn't had to really play any of those top contender teams.
Oh yeah. Well, I know one thing I'm going to get flack for on that topic kind of is, for example, Almost Legends actually lost to Annie Oak League, but Almost Legends is above them.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and forth on that one for a while. I wasn't quite sure, but ultimately Can't Counterpick Stupid winning last night against them. I put them down 1. That's a top team. If you can't win against top teams, you're not going to make it to the top. So that's kind of what ultimately shifted that for me. It doesn't make any sense because then if you look at Almost, they lost to a bottom team. So who knows?
We can move on.
So that
Next
was my
person.
best. Go ahead, Ghost.
Oh no, I'm just laughing. You just throw up whatever.
I'm an analyst.
Yeah. I mean, look at what you're giving me. There's not a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just a shout out to like Lurk Patrol. I just know some of these people. My boy Kelladorn and Can't Counterpick Stupid.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been doing as much casting as a lot of other people. I'm looking to get started again. As you can see, I've got my fancy new setup right here that I'm looking to get more casting done, so I can get on the ball. I'll start doing it and get used to more of these teams. But until then, I just don't know a lot about some of these divisions.
Sounds good. Whoa, what are your thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I'm still waiting to see a team knock Tickle Me Tassadar off the top spot. I think they've rightfully earned their place for now, but I'm curious to see if it's going to last. Them being a new team together, it's you kind of expect those teams to get better over time. So the fact that they're so strong out the gate is interesting to me. Aside from that, I agree with the murkiness around the 4 through 7 or 8 seeds. So.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I haven't caught as many C West matches this week as I planned on, so I'm interested to see how that kind of midsection is going to fall into place.
Makes sense to me. Alrighty, guys, let us move on to the penultimate division here. We have Division D East. So not a whole lot changing at the top here. Zul'jin Distillery, of course, a returning team formerly in Division C. House of Shay, I believe it is. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how Wedge instructed us to pronounce it last week. He kind of ripped on us a bit.
Okay. Well, and I know I saw in a chat, the Born to Shine said it was Shay. So maybe if she's watching, tell me I'm correct, or if anyone on House of Shay is. 2 calculated, 2 throw, a returning Division D team. Church of Murky, they were 2 seasons ago. I think they were Division C. Maybe they're Division D, but they took the off season to do the Learning Fives. So they're, I think they're probably adequately placed. Now here's the first big change. Pro B Us, they got a domination against 4 Uthers and an Alex, which you'll see is a corollary -3 down. So a big win. This was a returning team from last season. I think they were middle of the pack, low pack. Taking on another returning team, I think Division B, although they're a little different than they were in Division C, B, I don't know. But anyways, they got a domination against that team, a bit higher rank, so they're going to move. Censored is going to go down. Not much there. FF and the Pancakes. So last week they were a little bit lower on this because they lost to the number 1 Zul'jin Distillery. But they also actually beat 40 Uthers and an Alex. So that's kind of explaining why these 2 teams kind of skyrocketed up. And it looks like the rest of these are kind of just shifting. Not quite sure why Team Rectum is -3. But 4 Uthers and an Alex, obviously, they go down there.
Team Rectum did lose to Zul'jin Distillery.
Oh, okay.
So that
I
was
think that they will probably rise up.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I don't know. So obviously, as you can't probably imagine, I did not draft this one, so I am just portraying it. This was from our executive producer Arthur. He's saying that it's just hard to, when you do a loss, it's hard to
justify them moving back up. So
yeah, so
it was kind of. Their loss to a top-place team in Zul'jin Distillery probably didn't warrant the -3, but just kind of everything else going on in the division, he said he had a tough time doing anything else with them.
I agree. And, obviously 4 Uthers and Alex getting 2 tough losses to 2 higher-ranked teams. They just didn't have the best of showing. That's another team, obviously they're kind of new. So they're returning, but they're in different pieces. They have different players. So I would expect them to rise up a little bit. Painfully average. Our executive producer's note is painfully average team.
Oh,
that was a little hurt. No, I didn't watch this match, so I don't know happened. But they are now in the 12th spot. I guess
You're just asking for that with the team name like that. I think.
Yeah, I mean they have to recommend it, right? Yes, you might. You might get fired, Arthur.
It's been nice while it lasted, buddy.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to look at their standings really quickly. Yeah, they've just been 0 forward, but would tap that. I think they dropped though. No, they went up. Whatever. Something happened. Anyway, so that's Division D. So do you guys disagree with Arth now or not?
I kind of put my 2 cents in already, but I think I agree that the top is pretty much solidified as it is now, aside from Probus being the big move up, and FF and the Pancakes kind of being the surprise team for everyone here. So it'll be interesting when those top teams start playing each other. My pick to win the division was 2 Calculated 2 Throw, so I'm expecting them to make some waves playing the likes of Zul'jin Distillery and House of Shay, but those are both going to be tough matches for them.
Very nice. Ghost, any thoughts? As we get lower down in the division, bronze boys, as we.
No, I mean, I don't want to like cast any shade. It's just it's just people that I play with.
Yeah.
Tend to be the teams that I know and care about. So like, there's a handful of teams like Zul'jin Distillery. These guys have been around forever. I've casted them a ton. It's awesome to see them at the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And also not surprising.
Yeah, and especially since they probably have a Division C mindset, if not a Division C, gameplay.
Well, I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong. They were Division C last.
They were, yeah.
They've been all over the place. I think they've been B. I think they might have even been higher than that at some point. A. No, they've not. Okay.
Yeah, but I just I imagine they got. I know their friends. Like I imagine life changes happen. Makes it harder to practice when things happen. So, alrighty here. So, I think that's it for Division D East. Agree?
Sure, just skip me. That's fine.
I apologize, sir. Please, Ziltoid, tell us, what do you got to say about Division D East?
Not a whole lot. I'm just going to point out that Team Rectum it was a really close fight when they went up against 2 Calculated 2 Throw. And the only other team they've played so far, at least as far as the standings are concerned, was Probus in week 1. And they took that victory 2-1. So Team Rectum, I think, is one of those, if they can go 2-1 with Calculated to Throw, that probably, we should expect them to pop up further in the standings for sure. Yeah. And I think 2 Calculated to Throw still has some things to clean up if they're going to take out the top 2. But really, between the 8th and 2 spot, I think there's still lots of movement possible between a lot of these teams. But I do think that House of Shay and Zul'jin Distillery are kind of the favorites to take the top. As I said before, I thought House of Shay would be the top of the division. And I guess we'll find out when they play Zul'jin Distillery, whenever that match is. That's it.
All right. Moving on to Division D West. So while you were talking, I was looking at things. I don't know that I actually agree with this, but we'll get into it. So again, this one was drafted by our executive producer, Arthur here. So we have Full Meta Jacket at the top, Clouded Minds at number 2. I agree that these are top teams. I'll keep going, and then I'll talk about what I want to talk about. Randy Newman moving up 1. Yavapai County Swim Team moving... Yavapai County Swim Team and Chess Team.
Almost got
Chess and Swim Team.
I think you missed the youth in there.
Yep.
The
yeah,
youth.
it's Yavapai County Youth Chess and Swim Team.
Oh my goodness.
You're going to get it by the end of the season, Turd. It's okay.
It doesn't fit in our little power ranking, so it just says Yavapai Swim Team. Anyways, they moved down 1. I'm guessing that they may have played each other or something. No, they didn't. I'm not sure why they changed there, but that's fine. Disturbance. So this is where I would have put Disturbance way higher. I know we had them at 1, 2, 3. We had them at 8 last week, but they've gotten 2 dominations. Now I guess it is probably. It's against Lucidology and Baddest Boys, so maybe not number 1. I'd probably put them right above Randy Newman's team.
Those against Backbone.
Backbone, Crimson Shadow.
Oh, Backbone. Okay. Oh, Toronto. Yeah.
It's very convincing though.
I'd probably
But they
move them up a
haven't
little
played
bit.
the top teams of the division.
See, that's the thing about like early dominations is you want to reward them and put those teams high in the standings. But if those dominations are coming against the teams in the bottom 2 or 3 seeds, it's tough to justify such a large jump for them if they don't start very high.
Yeah, I can see the argument that a domination against Backbone isn't necessarily justifying enough to move it up. So I could see.
I do think one against Lucidology is an okay play setter, but Lucidology still isn't a top runner for the division.
Basically what you're saying is you expect them to lose.
I do. But don't get me wrong. I did cast Disturbance. I did the replay for them versus Backbone, and they do play well. Like they definitely have good drafts, and they definitely have decent calls. But I've also seen Clouded Minds play. Even Bloodbath and Beyond has a pretty strong play style. I don't know. I think up against the top teams in the division, they may struggle. But they're looking good so far. Anyways,
yeah. I mean, you know what? Maybe 5's a really good spot for them.
I think 5 is fine.
Yeah.
Considering they came into the season as a bit of an underdog, they didn't have the strongest season last season in NGS. I think 5 is a good place for them right now.
Yeah. I think I agree that they will probably have trouble against Full Meta Jacket and Clouded Minds and those teams like that. So that's probably a good spot for them. So, all right, moving right along. Well, Bloodbath and Beyond moving down 1. I'm guessing that's just a shift for the Disturbance change. Baddest Dudes staying the same. Camino Saber Darts here. So I think they played a flex match. Or maybe they haven't played any match. I don't know.
So the Baddest Dudes beat Bloodbath and Beyond. So it's kind of interesting to see that they're below BV&B.
Gotta ask our executive
producer. There's a 2-0 domination too.
I don't know, man. Camino Saber Darts, they've exceeded, what the expectations of being in a lower ranked team, and they've been doing well. Lucidology had 2 really rough losses to Full Meta Jacket and Disturbance, moving them kind of towards the bottom there. So I would expect that to change. They seem to be a team that kind of starts out, but over time they just kind of do a little bit of parabola. Is that it?
That's the shape that goes like.
Oh, that's an
one
oval. Direction
and then the other.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not a math guy. I'm sorry. I should not have tried to be a math guy. Anyways, we all kind of had a little bit of a discussion. Disturbance pick. Any other comments about Division D West?
They got the best team names in the dang business.
They do.
Clouded Minds, Randy Newman. Bloodbath and Beyond.
I love that name.
The Baddest Dudes have the best logo I've seen in NGS. It's so good. Camino Saber Darts.
That was great because they have both great logos and great names.
That's awesome. And Backbone AI is probably the first Vaporwave team name.
It's also Backbone Crimson Shadow, not AI.
It's changed now. Yeah.
Oh, Shadow. Oh,
they've upgraded.
Oh, that's very cool. And then easily the best team name in NGS, Yavapai County Youth Swimming Chess Team. Yavapai County, of course, being the home of Prescott, Arizona, population 39,834.
It's actually a nice city.
I believe it.
It's actually kind of in like what you'd call mountains in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is that
they're not. They're not like the Rockies,
as long as it's not Scottsdale.
Window, but like they're good. It's a nice place though. My dad worked there for a little while. It was cool.
My favorite part is like, Wraithling does a great job on the website, and it's really just it's the users that are messing this up. But the Yavapai County Youth Chess and Swim Team name is so big, it shifts everything over in the coming schedule. Just, it's great. So keep up the good work, boys.
Current weather in Prescott, Arizona, 92 degrees out. Humidity 17%.
It's a
Arguably-
beautiful
In
Okay.
day.
Arizona, in the middle of summer, that's really good.
Yeah.
Beautiful day in the Yavapai
It's
County.
actually really good there.
Well, yesterday here in Chicago, before it rained, it was 96 degrees
Oh
with
my
54% humidity. It was dumb.
It's so sticky out.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like if you open your window like to get a breeze, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Like, no amount of breeze is going to make you feel cooler in Chicago.
Yesterday it was 15 Celsius and just rained and hailed all day.
Ew. It's July.
See, I gotta
In the middle of
apologize.
July, yeah.
I don't know what 15.
That's why my
Celsius
town's
is.
called High River.
15
50
Celsius.
Celsius is cold. Like,
Yeah, well, it's not cold, but it's like what, like low
like
60s?
65.
Yeah.
That's like good
65
Chicago
more
weather,
like
man. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, we got sidetracked.
Yeah.
Any other comments about Division D West?
Yeah, I was going to make a couple.
Oh, go ahead, Diltoid.
Sorry, we kind of got sidetracked. Anyways, yeah, I was impressed with Disturbance, but I don't think they're going to go much higher, and that's all I'm going to say about that. The Baddest Dudes actually has had a pretty good opening to the season. They went 2-1 into why am I drawing a blank on this? Jeez. First week,
Camino Saber Darts.
Saber Darts.
Camino Saber Darts, and that was a good opener for them. And I think that they'll play a bit cleaner. I expect Tootie Mouse and the boys to actually climb that ranking, maybe even up into like the 4th and 5th spot. But keep in mind that Yavapai County Youth Chess and Swim Team is last season's ASMO carry, and they were kind of one of those teams that play odd things that a lot of other teams struggle to deal with.
Right.
And they
And
can definitely dark horse
upsets in
the whole
playoffs.
division.
Yeah.
Which is something that just it is something to keep in mind. Like they can take a victory off of pretty much anyone in the top 4, just because they can draft weird, like definitely hard things to deal with. Bloodbath and Beyond had an interesting matchup with the Baddest Dudes, and they did end up losing 1-2. But I think that team, if they kind of like practice up a bunch in the next coming weeks, I expect them to actually be a pretty decent threat. But outside of that, I think the standings are very much where they need to be.
Alrighty. All right, guys. That's our power rankings. If you guys are watching this, let us know what we got wrong. Obviously, these are subjective. We talked a little bit about it. We talked amongst us. We thought some of us got us wrong. So please feel free to let us know. Drop us a line and tell us what we got wrong. But beyond that, let's move on to the community member of the week. And this week we have DBSmiley. So DBSmiley, he dropped into our analyst Discord earlier this week. But he's been casting a storm. I've never had the pleasure of watching a lot of DBSmiley as a caster. I think he took a couple seasons off, but he is back, and he is back with a vengeance. He fortunately casted the Nexus Cats our first game while I was out of town. I was able to enjoy that, so I personally appreciate that. But I know he's just been casting everyone.
Yeah,
so,
and he's quite good.
Yeah, he's very good.
And he's been running those playoff simulations weekly. So
yes, that's why he was added to our analyst. I couldn't remember.
Yes.
Thank you.
I got you.
He's got
that's
some
what
experience,
he's-
which helps out with all our analyst stuff like that. And
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
what he's known for. Is he used to do the predictions for like HGC and everything back on Reddit, and he would post like he would generate teams MMRs based on their win-loss records and show like, hey, these teams are good. They they're playing a good team, so expect them to maybe not win as much next season. So he did some really good work, and it's awesome to see him back. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, so we're very fortunate. Hopefully we'll see him around. I know he has a pretty busy schedule, so he doesn't know if he'll make an appearance on Nexus Edge. But either way, great job, dude. We keep up the good work. 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up that's 3 thumbs up from Nexus Edge. 4, oh man, 4 thumbs up, going crazy. So 5 thumbs up. We got the full thumbs up. 6. All right, no more thumbs, guys. Let's move on to the game of the week. Ghost, as our guest, why don't you break it down and tell us what game should everyone watch this week.
I'm gonna go with the one that I cast. Actually, I mean, it's a really solid game. I mentioned it earlier. It was Soak Every Lane versus Uncomfortably Numb. Especially the first Towers game. I was just exhausted by the end of it. It came down to the wire. Go watch it to see who won. It's got thrills, it's got spills, chills, all that stuff. It was a really fun game to cast. I honestly didn't know which team was going to win. Even going into game 3, it was a big question mark of which team was going to be able to pull it out. And I think you'll learn something along the way too.
Very nice. Ziltoid, what match are you saying we should watch this week?
This week, I think one of the best ones is going to be... I had it in my head and now I've completely forgotten what it was. Oh my gosh. Reborn Knights Black versus Regen.
Yeah.
I think Reborn Knights Black, after the loss to Beast Coast, has something to prove. And Regen Phoenix and B East is one of those teams that has been, I think, overperforming a bit. They did take a loss, but like it's somewhat expected when they're going up against some of the higher division teams. And Minion Miners, that match, if there's a game to watch last week, Minion Miners versus Regen Phoenix was a bloodbath. It was an absolute slugfest. They went at each other super, super hard, and it really came down to the wire on who was going to win the matchup. And I think Minion Miners is one of those teams that I think when they come online can be a huge threat in B East. So it'll be interesting to see how well Regen Phoenix does into Reborn Knights Black. And I think that matchup is going to give us the best kind of insight into where they're going to stack up for the remainder of the season.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to go next. Well, you can bring up the last one here. C East over. We're gonna watch Boogan Squad versus Winky Face. I think it's gonna be a really good match. That is a first place team versus a current. I don't know what the actual standings are, but fourth place team. I think it's gonna be a good match to see can Boogan Squad kind of hang with the people at the top, or alternatively, can Winky Face keep their position at the top? I suspect Winky Face will win, but will it be a domination? Will it be a 2-1? I don't know. But either way, I think it's going to be a really good match to watch, and I think that's the game of the week for me. So, Whoa, go ahead. What do we got?
Well, we've been clamoring for a little bit more heroic action, and I think it was actually added to the calendar just as we started filming this. But Thursday night, 7 o'clock PST, or PDT, sorry, someone's going to yell at me for that. We have Yikes S tier making their heroic debut after all of those forfeited matches and drop teams, going up against Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves currently undefeated. I think they're around 3rd or 4th because there's a couple undefeated teams in heroic right now. So Yikes S tier has a little bit of hype around them, some well-known players, John Knight and the like. So I think that should be a really good match for heroic this week.
Alrighty, sounds good. Alrighty, let us move on into our next segment. It's going to be highlights. Top 5 highlights of the week. This is something, Ghost, I know you guys can't do over on Nexus now, being mostly audio medium. So excited to have you on here. Go through some of this. So let's start out with our number 5 pick, Fear the Boss. Show the clip.
Fort. They're fighting over the boss here. Very dangerous, but they don't have Dahaka. Arthas not surviving. 3-man stun by the boss, and the fear on the point puts the boss over in favor of Full Meta Jacket after being completely cleared by Yavapai. Retreating to their 1 fort here. That was an amazing pickup, an amazing fear.
All right, and coming in at number 4 is, honestly, I don't know what happened here, but boy, was it neat. Show the clip.
That's going to take their total up to 41. But here comes, that's the combo they needed. Entomb, oh no, but it seemed like they got pushed out of the Entomb. I don't know if that was a telekinesis by Rexar or what, but they were stuck in the Entomb, and then they weren't, and now things turning around. They had them where they wanted, and now things are just falling apart here for the members of Unemployed Gaming. Sylvanas is not going to be long for this world. Trying to get on the Snow Glare, but can't make it happen. That is 3 for nothing.
And coming in at number 3, it is Stand and Fire.
Romaniac is finished off by Rosai, but Ramen is looking for the engage now. Ends up getting rooted and stunned as well, but Nano Boost going to be able to keep Ramen up for now, as Bacon will end up going down. Now it's Grizzly who goes down. A Bunker ends up going too early, so Key will end up going down to last rights, as well as the remaining members of Into Deep.
Coming in at number 2, Smooth Criminal. Show the clip.
Romaniac is finished off by Rosai, but Ramen is looking for the engage now. Ends up getting rooted and stunned as well, but Nano Boost going to be able to keep Ramen up for now, as Bacon will end up going down. Now it's Grizzly who goes down. A Bunker ends up going too early, so Key will end up going down to last rights, as well as the remaining members of Into Deep.
And rounding it out, number 1 is Big Brain 200 IQ Sound Barrier.
Whoa, that last clip was so amazing. I can't wait to see this next one.
Yeah. Show the clip.
Punisher going to be walking onto a keep wall. This could be a really quick one now on Infernal Shrines, as Regen Retro struggling to find their way here on Infernal Shrines. Maybe now looking for Zeratul. He has that VP if he still wants to use it. Singularity Spike on top of Greymane. He's trying to get in there deep. There's the VP. Hits Uther as well. Barrier's going to come out right after. Wisely done by who do you think? Knowing that that barrier cast will still go after the VP ends means negative damage.
Yeah, that was a Big Brain Sound Barrier. So, Ghost, what did you think of the clips this week?
Number 5 shows why the boss is a throw pit. I think the instructive thing to get from clip number 5, the boss on Sky Temple, is always think about like the boss control that your team has when you're trying to contest that, because between the fear and the APOC, there's so much more. The team that won the boss, I forget which team it was, Full Meta Jacket. They knew they had a better boss steal composition. There was basically nothing on the side of Yavapai County that would let them, control that boss point. And number 2, and you're playing Leoric into Blaze, always remember that he can get out of your Entomb. I know I've done level 20, just all bets are off, but and I'll let you talk about number 1 because you seem very jazzed about it. But clip number 4. The honesty, I don't know what happened here, but it was neat. Just because you have all your buttons up doesn't mean you should push them.
That's probably what happened.
It's Alarak just used to using the telekinesis before the silence, but everyone's in a tomb. Just use the silence. They're not moving. Right. But you push them out of the thing. And then the Stand and Fire clip number 3, Maev is just really strong. You've got a good Maev player. You've got a really scary composition going on.
Absolutely. Well, what did you think?
Ghost did a good job going over them. Always happy for logical decision to make it on the board, especially when we're not having flashbacks to last year Towers of Doom. I remember watching the Blaze Escape live, and Ziltoid's going to harp on it too, but that's one of the reasons that you take Gust, is just, if you Gust him, he stays in there, he can't get into his bunker because it has that channel time, and Gust just has so much utility. I remember seeing it at the time thinking, ooh, the bunker plus the laser, that's such overkill, like, you can kill him without it, and then he just drops the bunker, pops over the wall, and then that's a free Blaze gone.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it.
Ziltoid, so tell us about that. Or
Take
whatever
Gust.
else. Yeah, sure. Take Gust. Yeah.
I mean, it just has way more utility. I think the struggle with Gust is that it if it's used poorly, it doesn't. It can hurt your team. So like, play Falstead for sure. But learn where you can use Gust and how to do it properly. And it's such a good ultimate that it can change the pace of almost every game you play in.
Right.
It's very much like Void Prison. Like, your team is going to win or lose very much based off of the placements of those ultimates. And so make sure that you take it and then you have it down. And I think that is the reason we see laser, because it's less punishing. It's just extra damage. If you get a kill off it, great. If you don't, oh well. But but Falstead, I think, struggles on so much other aspects of his team fight that without Gust, there's just arguments for the other heroes a lot of the time. But
Absolutely.
Sound Barrier into Void Prison isn't that mechanically difficult to pull off, I think, but just having the state of mind in that in that short period of time you have to execute it was extremely well done. Like, you really have to understand what the follow-up is and get that Sound Barrier in like that. And just timing it perfectly still can be a struggle.
Yeah, to get it off like that shows that the Lucio player, who was it?
Who do you know? Or it's who do you think on Rewind?
Yeah, who do you think? He thought about this situation before the game started. If Zeratil's going to Void Prison, they're going to try to wombo. So this is what I'm going to do when it happens.
Right, and it was timed perfectly. I thought he was just going to. VP came off, but that was incredible. I really liked it. That's why you said I was jazzed up about it. I was indeed jazzed up about it. Really liked that.
And the last thing is on our clip, like, Alarak is one of those mechanically difficult heroes to play. He has a lot of utility, and I think people underplay the utility. They go, hey, I've got this, all I need to do is pull and combo. But the damage follow-up isn't really that big a deal. Neither is really the silence. It can interrupt abilities, and so does the telekinesis. And that's the thing about the telekinesis, is it's really good used in utility situations. I think someone made a point in my own Discord talking about how Rich almost never comboed it. He used the telekinesis just to mess with people, and then he just used his Qs as just general follow-up. He almost never used it as a combo. So, just keep that in mind when playing Alarak, that it's not always about getting the pull in with the stun. Quite often you can hurt your team with that instead of actually doing yourself any favors.
Right. Alrighty. Those were our clips. Remember, send the clips to the Highlight Discord channel. We take a look at those and we pick out the top 5 we think come from there. So keep them coming. Season's early, but highlights never end. So please send them in. Before we move on to the next subject, I just want to do a quick plug for Valcomer's new episode of his show, The Late Night Face Check. Hopefully, we'll have a teaser that we can put in right here. And it's going to be with Once Bitten, Thrice Pies, Captain Limehouse.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Lime Mouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is correct.
Captain Limemouse. He will be sitting down with Valcomer in the Late Night Face Check. So hopefully it's a good one. I really liked last episode, so hopefully you all can check it out, catch it. Yes.
Sounds sensual.
Yeah, I know. It sounds great. The Late Night Face Check. Some of his other names are great too, but that one was a good top notch. All right. Last segment of the day. We're going to go through some Edge questions. Obviously, again, this is the poll questions in the Discord. Edge questions. People ask Edge questions, and then we ask them on the show. So let's start. Monka's asked, what is the biggest trap talent? So, Ghost, why don't you start it out?
Ooh.
There's a few.
If we need to, I can go to someone else first.
Yeah, go to somebody else, because I haven't thought about it in a while. I only take the good talents, you see.
Yeah. Ziltoid, go ahead.
Convection.
Oh, yeah, that
one comes up pretty often.
I mean, even us bronze boys know that's a bad one. Any others? Zil?
There's a lot, but yeah, like Ghostdunk, you got to think about them. So maybe
Right?
Flo's got one wrapped up his head, moved to him.
I think probably like the first thing that comes to mind with like what are you even doing here is Blade Storm on Samuro. Like if you pick Samuro in a competitive environment and you don't go Illusion Master, what are we even doing here?
Yeah. Why take Samuro?
Pick
Yeah.
a better melee assassin if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, what are you trying to get accomplished here? Like
Like there was one moment I thought about using Blade Storm yesterday when I was playing a quick match. I was playing with Samuro, and no one was handling the top lane, and I figured, what's Illusion Master going to get me? Because I'm not really going to be rotating.
Right.
But I still went with it because the thing about Illusion Master is it buffs all your clones and they make them really hard to kill, and you can still kill targets a hell of a lot easier than you can with Blade Storm. So, and if you need dodge shit, you just press D and bounce out of the way. It's not that hard. So I think Ghostdunk's 100% correct.
And even if you're not going to be rotating, you got Illusion Master, you still stay top lane and you go to the other lanes.
Yeah.
All of the
straight up
lanes.
Illusion Master is just that much better of a talent.
Yeah.
Samurai rework rumored to be incoming though.
This is going to be like the Vikings rework. Like, oh, we're going to have a build where you can keep them together. Yeah.
Well, what about you? What do you think is the biggest trap talent?
First one that comes to mind is, I can't remember the name of it, but that Tracer talent that adds a charge
Untouchable.
of Blink. No, not Untouchable. The one that adds a charge of Blink but increases its cooldown. Untouchable's bad too, but that one, it actively makes her ability worse. Like, it's one of the few talents in the game. Like, most talents you can justify at least, like, okay, there's some thought behind it. This one legitimately makes her mobility worse, and I don't understand why anyone would ever... Why it's still in the game. Why it hasn't been changed.
And actually, I would point out that I don't like Wizened Duelist much on Greymane either.
It has its spots, but it's mostly a win more talent, and just Quicksilver Bullets is so strong that it feels tough to pass up. Or even like
you're you're just basically nerfing yourself when you don't take it. Like Quicksilver and Wizened Duelist is just one of those things like you really, really have to be lucky. Like it's just chance.
Again, it's a win more talent.
Yeah.
Kind of like Untouchable.
My pick, this is one near and dear to my heart. Might of the Nerazim. Obviously, it has its place.
No, I think there's plenty of place for that.
Yeah, but I think if Void Prism is just so good.
You are giving up the best heroic in the game.
Right. Like that's why
I don't think it qualifies as a trap talent because Might of the Nerazim plenty of application, despite because Void Prison can actually hurt. Again, if you're not good at using Void Prison, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't play Zeratul.
Right.
Whereas like it's a little bit of a different story. Whereas like Samuro, if you can't use Illusion Master, don't play the hero.
No, right. And
Might of the Nerazim can actually delete backline heroes.
Absolutely, and that's why our Zeratul player. I personally do not. I think you need to go Void Prism. It is so good, but that's why I think it's a trap talent. Maybe it's wrong. Whatever. Moving right along.
Moving on. That's it. No discussion.
So Jay Silv asked. He actually had a bunch of questions, but he asked, "What position do you think is best balanced at the moment?" I think he means like role. It's a good question. That's why.
There's lots of opinions on this one.
My vote, maybe I'm biased, but my vote goes to healer right now.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think, barring maybe one or two, every healer has their place. Granted, they're still the S tier, the A tier heroes, or the healers. You got your Ana. I think very highly of Anduin. You got Tyrande. But once those are either banned or picked out, there's still a ton of, like, almost every healer you can make a case for. They're pretty well balanced. They have their niche. They're strong at what they do. So aside from, I think, Ariel, I would rework still because she just feels weak.
Yeah.
Karazim could maybe see a little bit of love. His new talents got updated and he's in a better spot, but he's still not quite where maybe he needs to be. Everyone else feels pretty strong. They have their niches. They have their moments. So I would give it to healer.
Yeah, I'd agree with that mostly. With basically the way healers look to me is you got Ana, you got everybody else, and then you got Ariel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
you can even throw white main at the bottom too. I kind of
yeah,
forgot about her, but
that too. But I think a good white main can still be solid. Depending, but it takes a
It's just
lot.
tough. Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
so much burden of execution.
You're right. Ziltud, what about you? What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to argue that healer is the most balanced role.
Yeah.
I think across the board. I think offlane's actually in an okay spot too as well. I think overall, there's just it's always been kind of a pick versus counter pick kind of situation.
Mhm.
1v1 versus team fight versus macro versus other things like that. But if you look at the role, especially since some of the changes to some of the melee assassins in the last balance patch, there's a lot of viable options, I think, on bruisers in particular, and just across the board. And I do think there's really lots of options that you can take. Irel got moved into maybe an okay spot to be meta now. Zool looks actually like a deadly double soaker, especially early game, and his survivability is increased. His team threat, with all of the movement speed increases, his overall threat on a map is really intense. And in fact, again, I cite the Beast Coast versus Reborn Knights Black matchup to really give you an idea of what Zool can bring to a matchup that's actually quite deadly. So I think that the offlane bruiser kind of role right now is actually looking pretty solid. And honestly, tanks have kind of gotten better. It's no longer the Anubrak. Diablo just is everything, right? Now
Right.
you've got Johanna, ETC, Muradin, Blaze. They're all actually in a good spot. I think that this might be controversial, but I think balancing as far as roles across most of the game right now is in somewhat probably the best state it's been in since forever. Honestly, it's really hard for me to point out like these here. There's obviously some really good heroes right now
Right.
that you can consider overpowered, but I think it's still a small pool, and none of them don't have any. It's not like none of them have any counters.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's in a good spot. I think you'd see that change though, maybe if HGC was still a thing, because you'd start seeing degenerate play styles at the very top, and you'd start seeing just some very crazy stuff happening, and people would steal that. But as it stands now, where everyone is just trying to have fun, everyone's just trying to play the game, in a fun way as the best they can. I think it's worked out really well. I will disagree with you on tanks, because I still think you're in a position where you can choke people out of tanks.
Yeah.
And that's a little harder. But on the offlane, you can't bring up offlane balance without bringing up Chen, because Chen right now I'm serious, is like, people are going to start figuring out Chen pretty soon. I know Caterpillar had a tweet recently where he said he basically wins every matchup and can just dive your backline and you can't peel him off.
Right.
And I think he's definitely got weaknesses, like his wave clear sucks. It's real bad. So he can't double clear. But if he can freeze a lane correctly, I mean, he's the best at freezing. I think he's easily got a place. So it depends. It has yet to be seen whether he's going to dominate everything, kind of like Anna is for
Right.
healers. But I'd agree with offlane. I never feel like I can't pick a good offlane if
There's lots of options.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
You just
last
ban
question.
Chen, and then the OP hero's out of the way. It's gone, and then it's back to being kind of free for all.
There you go. Last question. This one is specifically for Wono. Comes from Serenian or
Serenian, I think that's right.
Okay. He asks, why is the Division C bucket emote the best emote in NGS? Take your time. It's okay.
I think the woe face is the best one.
Which one?
Woe
The woe
Pug?
face? Yeah, woe face is really good.
I don't know. He's
Is it
coming
just
at
a
me.
bucket?
It's
With a big C on it.
so the bucket
Oh.
emote was an existing emote, and then when Aura put out her call for all the divisions to make their own emotes and submit them, someone's like, "Oh, haha, let's put a C on the bucket and claim it as our division emote."
Okay,
So
'cause it's-
now
okay.
everyone-
So the joke is kind of like they're like bait, like chum for fish or something. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
the
then now
joke's
we
that-
have the trash bucket emote. It's great.
Yeah.
But I did see that Division B has the B ban hammer.
We have Thonking Hammer.
Thonking hammer. That's real good. So I guess we'll do a mini plug for Aura here for everyone's sake. Submit Division emote requests. I know she's been kind of pinging the divisions asking for more emotes. So Division C has wholly adopted them. We have 3 now. So other divisions need to catch up. And yeah, ours is clearly the best. So that's all. That's all I have on that comment. Guys, we have made it to the end. It's Sunday afternoon. We're going to get on with our day, but let us hype up the rest of Season 7. Nexus Now, of course. The new episode dropped yesterday. I haven't caught it yet, but that's going to be my morning commute thing tomorrow. So we'll go ahead and check that out. Recommend everyone else do so. Yeah, feel free to contact us. Let us know. Shout out to our research analysts. We had Key, Ryokai. Actually, Key was on vacation this week, and Ryokai really stepped up, kind of organized everyone. Good work, guys. Himibo, Marshhole, Dominator, and Blank. Obviously, without that, you guys and all the work you do, it would be really difficult. So thank you for all your help. I want to thank all of our panelists. Hello, panelists. Wono, where can the people reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at WonoHots, also on Twitch at WonoHots. I did my first cast with Mongoose co-casting this past week, so maybe you'll see me more on that. I don't know.
You did a good job. You should definitely do more. I agree.
Wait, you've never casted before?
No, that was his first one.
Third season in NGS. That was my first
really
cast.
Sad.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't forget he spells whoa weird.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's controversial. Is this controversial?
But there we go. Anyways, Ziltoid, where?
Well, I'm frequently casting, so you'll catch me on twitch.tv/LDZiltoid. Also on YouTube, where all my replay, all of my VODs go, which is YouTube/LDZiltoid. And then Twitter @LDZiltoid. And then of course on Discord, feel free to message me. I do have, like I said, I'm hoping to air Nexperts sometime next week.
Perfect.
So if anyone is interested, if you have a hero that you want to talk about, I've opened this up to every division. Anyone can approach me with a hero that they think they know well, that they want to discuss and give an expert opinion on. Just message me on Discord, and we'll sort out getting you set up. I have 3 or 4 already, so if you want to get on that list, hopefully I'm going to be able to keep this recurring, going through the next, throughout the season.
Perfect. I'm of course Turd Herder. You can reach me on Discord, of course, Twitter TurdHerderHots. I think on Twitch I'm Turd_Herder. I think that's my name. So you can find me there. I'm doing some streaming. Not so much casting, but I'm hoping to get a little bit. It's been a little crazy because of the season. Hoping to get a little bit more in there. And yeah. And of course, we have to say goodbye, unfortunately, to our very special guest, Mr. Ghostdunk. Where can they find you?
You can find me confusingly on Twitter @IlluminatedWax. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Ghostdunk, where I will be casting NGS in the future. I'm also doing a bit of speedrunning on the side, having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, you've been doing those like kind of late at night, right when I'm in bed. So it's like a little Ghostdunk at night.
Yeah, exactly. When I get sick of playing heroes, and I need a game where I'm the only person who's causing my team to lose. I can jump on and race against the clock.
There you go. All right, guys, that is all for today. This is Turd Herder here saying adios, amigos. Remember to stay safe in the Nexus and take your hots to the edge.
And Smithel,
I
love you, buddy. I had one. I had one. I just it disappeared from my thing. What was it? It was.
You want me to redo it? We can redo it. You got it?
Give me a second.
Okay, we got it. I forgot you do this after every. But I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know. I'll hit him up on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
Let's say bye to Smithel. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
No more. Adios, friends.